In the books, and after every rugby league round, I think there are a few things that we can take as lessons, specifically 7 things that we learned following round 8 of the NRL season. Certain coaches under pressure, players need a change, but some players have stepped up, some are Origin bolters and Dragons fans. Wait for number 6, it's made just for you. Let's rip straight into it. Number 1, the Bulldogs are in crisis and questions are getting louder. The Bulldogs' loss against a second-string Brisbane Broncos side now puts them at a higher loss-to-win record so far this season. It is the Bulldogs' worst start to a season since 2023, and they are absolutely in free fall. Questions need to start being asked of Cameron Ciraldo. I think that that's fair. Players being chosen when they're not performing, the selection and the recruitment selection of Lachlan Galvin after letting Reid Marnie and Toby Sexton leave the club. The Bulldogs' 3-4 start to the season so far does raise some serious questions. After what a brilliant performance the Bulldogs put out against the Penrith Panthers only 2 weeks ago, they have backed it up with 2 losses against basically reserve-grade Parramatta and Brisbane Broncos teams. So when a team experiences success like the Bulldogs have had in the last 2 years, the fingers are initially pointed at the players. But now the question is starting to shift towards the coach and the Bulldogs hierarchy. Did the Bulldogs get their recruitment, selection and retention wrong? We're going to find out in the next few weeks. But what's really clear here is the Bulldogs need changes, whether that's personnel, attitude, or tactics, or perhaps even all of the above. The Brisbane Broncos, a massive vote of confidence. Third choice fullback playing, starting props missing, and they still managed to pull out the victory. Adam Reynolds, masterclass. Can this Bulldogs team actually make the top 4? I don't think so anymore. Now the question goes to, will they make the finals? Because if they can't beat weakened opposition, then Cameron Ciraldo, Phil Gould, and recruitment head Peter Sharp are the ones who need to be answering the hard-hitting questions. Number 2, same old Raiders. Coming off back-to-back wins and riding high, the Canberra Raiders went in at half-time, leading the West Tigers 14-10. In true Canberra Raider fashion, they have 1 year up, 1 year down, and this is definitely proving a down year after finishing minor premiers last year. A true capitulation in the second half. The Tigers resumed their early dominance in the second stanza, running out 33-14 winners. Adam Dewey, the world's largest halfback, dominating with 148 run meters, 1 try, 2 line break assists, a whole well-rounded performance by Adam Dewey. I think this Canberra side isn't going to make the top 8. And the thing is, Ricky Stewart gets away with it, year in and year out. He gets a team up, they drop down. They make the finals, they fall out. Make a grand final, don't qualify for the finals the next year. I think we're going to see that same pattern right here. But it's alright, nothing to see here. Keep going, Ricky. The Tigers are roaring up the NRL ladder. Adam Dewey scored twice. He was dominant in the second half against the Canberra Raiders, and he is proving to be an elite class halfback. Never thought I'd be saying that. The fact that they've got Madden who can sit on the bench, and you've got Jerome Luai who's just returned from injury, he's only going to get better and better as his season progresses. Young, powerful forwards, an exciting fast backline. The Tigers have the nucleus of a top 4 side. I think their spine is absolutely frightening NRL oppositions. And you know what? I'm going to go a step further. I don't think the Tigers are just in a top 4 conversation. They might just be the most exciting team in the NRL. It's starting to feel like 2005. Number 4, the Melbourne Storm are in freefall. 6 losses in a row for the Melbourne Storm. I never thought I'd be here saying that. This equals the longest losing streak in the Melbourne Storm's history. The last time Melbourne lost 6 straight was back in 2002 when Mark Murray was the coach, and that was the year before Craig Bellamy came in, who is still spearheading the football club. The Storm conceding 48 points at home against the South Sydney Rabbitohs, the first time that's happened since 2001. This is uncharted territory for the Melbourne Storm. I think they're deeply missing Katoa on the edges, and they're obviously missing Xavier Coates. And they've had a few injury concerns, no doubt about that. But those solutions are not going to be solved anytime soon. So how are the Melbourne Storm going to dig themselves out of this rut? Are Melbourne, dare I say it, going to miss the top 8? What I think we can say for sure is the Melbourne Storm dominance era is officially over. Number 5, Tallis Duncan is an Origin bolter. Tallis Duncan was the story of Anzac Day. A hat-trick for the back rower. He has had a barnstorming start to his 2026 season. 6 tackle busts, running for over 150 metres. He was everywhere. Latrell Mitchell also deserves a lot of praise here. He has come into his own, moving to the left centre position. 164 run metres, 4 tackle breaks, 2 try assists. Latrell Mitchell is absolutely flying. But I don't want to take anything away from Tallis Duncan. He was awesome. And he has now put himself into a state of origin conversation. Who would you pick? You got Hudson Young, you got Jacob Preston, Tallis Duncan, Angus Crichton. The New South Wales Blues don't lack depth in the back row, but does Tallis Duncan make your New South Wales Blues side? Let us know in the comments. Number 6, St. George Illawarra. New coach, same shit. The Roosters hammered the Dragons 64-12 on Anzac Day. This is absolutely brutal. Dean Young came out early on in the week. He gets rid of Michael Ennis. He brings in Cade Reid. He drops Kyle Flanagan. And the feeling was really optimistic around the Dragons. And then Anzac Day happened. An absolute massacre. The Sydney Roosters destroyed the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Angus Crichton, Daniel Tupou running rings around that Dragons right-hand edge. Dragons fans said they wanted Flanagan gone. That was the problem. So Flanagan left. Great. Then Dean Young comes in, and I think he's experienced the biggest loss an interim coach has ever experienced in the history of rugby league. So there you go, Dragons fans. You got your wish. And what did you get for it? A 52-point loss. They conceded 64 points. This is creeping up into all-time history records for the Dragons. And I'm not just talking about the merger. I'm talking about the St. George Dragons and the Illawarra Steelers. But don't worry, Dragons. You are making history. Here's a few fun stats to share with you. The loss against the Roosters is officially the 4th worst loss that the Dragons ever have experienced, and it's the 2nd biggest loss since the joint venture started. Well done. Well done, St. George Illawarra Dragons. Sack your coach. I think that'll solve the problem. In all seriousness, it's a poor group of players, and I think this might just go down as the worst NRL side of all time. I'm not sure this side's even going to see a win this year. And number 7, Kieran Foran should be named Manly's permanent coach. Anthony Seibold became the earliest NRL coach sacked since 2017, but it seemingly has been for the best. Fozball is in full effect. Kieran Foran has led Manly to 4 wins in a row following their huge victory over the Parramatta Eels last night. Hamoli Aloko'atu absolutely terrorized the Parramatta Eels. 226 running meters. 98 of those meters were post-contact. 9 tackle busts. Holy Hamoli, he was on fire. He terrorized the Parramatta Eels. I also want to give a lot of credit here to Tolutau Kula. I think the Manly Seagulls have found their long-term replacement at fullback. Over 200 metres run, 1 line break assist, 8 tackle breaks. Kula, well done. And Jamal Fogarty definitely coming into his own. Fozball is in full effect, and I think Manly are top 8 bound. And there you have it. There are the 7 things that we learned following round 8 of the NRL season. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Get your comments in below. And we'll see you next time. Enjoy your rugby league and get out of here.